Hi. In this clip, we will address the last research question, which is, how do we investigate the possible favorable effect of vegetable consumption on risk of heart disease? Could we do an actual experiment, a trial? In theory, yes. We could advise one very large group of people to eat more vegetables and another very large group of people to stick to their normal diet. We would then follow these people and see if there are fewer cases of heart disease in the group that was advised to eat more vegetables as compared to the other group. But here's the catch. If we would start the intervention in relatively young people, we would have to wait for decades before a substantial number of people will get heart disease, and thus before we could do any type of analysis. We could partially resolve that problem by only including older people, or even better, people already had a heart attack and would have a higher chance of getting another one. But even in people who already had a heart attack, the chance of getting another heart attack is quite small nowadays due to the excellent treatment options. And if the participants don't get heart attacks, how can we study if vegetable consumption is protective? That's a problem, isn't it? Another issue is that the study cannot be blinded. If we tell a participant to eat more vegetables, or deliver a weekly box of vegetables on their doorstep, it's clear to everybody that this person is in the vegetable group. And it is quite likely that people in the control group will also start eating more vegetables, even though they're told to stick to their normal diet. And that's a typical thing that happens in studies. And that behavior will reduce the difference between the two groups. Another very big concern for such a long-term intervention is poor compliance. Good compliance is a lot easier if people get a pill. But for this type of study, I would be very worried. So all in all, in theory, it's possible to carry out a trial, but there are major practical issues that make it unlikely that this study will be done. So again, we need to consider an observational study. And the most powerful observational study is the cohort study. Can we do a cohort study? Yes, absolutely. Heart disease is sufficiently common so that over the course of a cohort study, which usually lasts for many decades, there should be enough cases of heart disease. Of course, it should be a large cohort, including tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of people. And during the course of the cohort study, people would need to fill in a food frequency questionnaire every 5 to 10 years to provide an update on their dietary habits, including consumption of vegetables. So in my view, the most reasonable option is a cohort study. But you need to realize that cohort studies, like all other observational studies, can merely establish an association between vegetable consumption and risk of heart disease. Cohort studies strictly do not provide any evidence on whether this relation is causal. And that brings up an interesting point. Does that mean that we should disregard any evidence resulting from cohort studies and other observational studies? No, and I'll tell you why. Did we need trials to demonstrate that smoking causes lung cancer, heart disease, COPD, and other ailments? No, certainly not. The evidence linking smoking to all these diseases is entirely observational. Nobody ever did an actual experiment to test if smoking leads to lung cancer. Maybe in animals, but certainly not in humans. Nevertheless, there is no doubt that smoking causes lung cancer. Think about that. I do have to point out an important difference, though. Smoking increases the risk of lung cancer by more than 1,000%, which makes it highly likely that the effect is causal. In nutrition, however, the effects are much smaller, and that greatly increases the chance that the observed relation is indirect, which means not causal. Also, please keep that in mind.